All right. Yeah, thank you, Angela. Thank you for the opportunity to speak here. Yes, as mentioned, let's turn my timer on. My name is Associate Professor Ross Brown from Queensland University of Technology, and I'm just going to talk about a research group that I co-direct called CLEVAR, and the immersive research that we do within the group. So put simply, we are the cognitive and learning environments in virtual and augmented reality, CLEVAR. And we have a website, clevar.org. And we also have an artist who's done caricatures of all the members of the team. But we're a new group that's been formed in the last, say, year and a half at QUT, bringing together myself and Dr. Selene Turkai and a number of other staff members who are involved in looking at the use of immersive technology in various applications. So getting to that. So myself and Selene are basically the directors of the group. We have about 40 combined years research and teaching experience in this area and related areas. Both of us come from a games background. In my area, I'm much more about a technology person with game engines and computer graphics. Selene has deep expertise from experience at Harvard University in experimental design and experimental and empirical work with human subjects. So we take augmented reality and virtual reality and apply it to theoretical and applied issues, ranging from its effects on sociality amongst elderly persons in the community, along to can we use this in the area of esports, which I'll talk in a minute. So we've got grants from the ARC, in particular, just recently received a grant from them in the area of sociality for augmented reality. We are dealing with commercial entities in research, just signed off on a contract with Construction Services Queensland on an evaluation of their training for construction. And we also have other industry engagement grants with Royal Brisbane and Women's Hospital. And we also run work integrated learning projects with our students. So I look after final year projects. And so the group has a sort of teaching research nexus in the area of immersive systems. So we have a number of partners, including ACEMS, because I've done work with Kerry Mengerson within the ACEMS Research Centre, Royal Brisbane and Women's Hospital, Construction Services Queensland, other departments of community, the government, Queensland Government, the QUT Tigers eSports Group, the QUT Advanced Robotics Manufacturing Hub, and the newly formed, in fact, I will be going there in about an hour after this, a newly formed Industrial XR Hub that is running within Brisbane at the local precinct. So just a couple of projects to just generate some interest and to, because we haven't, to be honest, we haven't got defence experience beforehand. So these are some of the things we think will be of interest to this community, and we just want to put them out there. So following on from Dylan's excellent presentation, we're looking at the use of VR in esports. And we've done some initial research, in particular, looking around the design of esports games in VR, because esports are particular games of a particular style, as Dylan mentioned. And so we're looking at, well, what happens when you extend esports into the VR space? This is an emerging area. It's not half as popular as some of the other sort of League of Legends and Dota leagues that are occurring inside of esports, but this is becoming something new. And so what we've done is done a qualitative exploration of designing future VR esports systems. And we work with some professional players from QUT Tigers. And we went out to the local zero latency site, which is a large scale, as you can see on the, as you can see on the image here. It's a large warehouse scale VR center for entertainment. And we took some professional players through, and we found that they were particularly interested around the areas of sort of the embodiment of the gameplay. So suddenly, some of the things that Dylan is talking about that are not gross motor start to translate over into gross motor action. And so some interesting questions come from that in the context of gameplay and esports. And so we've submitted a paper to CHI this year based upon this initial research. Secondly, we're looking in particular sort of an overall manner around telemetry from VR environments. And so under a broad context of, okay, once you put a person inside of a headset, you can pull out eye movements, head movements, body movements, all sorts of biometric data, including galvanic responses, the sweating on their fingers, their blood pressure, heart rate. EEG or ECG is really hard to get because of the movement of the headsets, but we won't go there. But there's a lot of data we can bring out of this. And so we're working on that as a general theoretical project. This one in particular was something I engaged with Cyberdrone, which is an armed drone startup in the south of Brisbane. And we were looking at the fact that they're trying to develop machine learning interfaces to guide the warfighter as they're flying drones and picking targets for execution. And the issues they face are that their interfaces are very complex, and they want to test that in a live sort of situation. So what we proposed was the idea that you could have a hardened laptop with a headset on being worn by the player, and that would immerse them into a mixed reality environment where their interactions with the simulated drone could be monitored, and then the eye tracking and head movements and their cognitive load while using the interface could be assessed for a number of reasons. One, does the interface work properly? Can they, under pressure and cognitive load, drive the drone as well as possible? But also, could we personalize the interface to the person involved? So this is one of the sort of projects we're working on that interfaces with some elements of defense. And last but not least, just quickly to round up within 5 or so minutes, are some other possibilities we've been investigating. So we have been working with a local startup in the XR space around the use of haptic vests. In particular, we were looking at urban warfighter scenarios where instead of using radio comms and anything that may require speaking, could we actually provide a haptic feedback to the vest to give a situational analysis of a fighting scenario, particularly in urban warfare, particularly if you're using some sort of electronics modalities and know that, oh, you've got an enemy on the right here, we've got 3. This could be communicated immediately to a squad, and we were looking at the ideas of could that squad execute their task without having to actually, or to reduce the amount of communication they have to make with each other verbally, and the squad would be immediately notified as to what's going on in the building. And also, just to trail out, we do a lot of work as well on the cognitive effects of VR and AR. So just quickly, memory palaces, the use of VR and AR to enhance people's ability to take on sequences of information by spatially aligning them in a world. We also use it for expert knowledge elicitation. In particular, this may be useful for post-mission debriefing. So the idea is that immersive environments seem to affect our ability to recall previous events by situating a person in a context. And also we look at using VR and AR via gameplay to motivate people to be compliant with rehabilitation tasks, in particular with burns rehabilitation in that community. And last but not least, from this, we're starting to look at the idea of, well, what is the workplace of the future? We've got some underlying cognitive effects in this space. We're seeing that memory is affected. We're seeing that even language is affected when you're put inside these environments. And so we're now starting to ask the question, how do you work immersively? It's very timely because of what COVID has done. These environments, these 2D video environments, are less than optimal. And so we're looking at what can we do in an immersive space that is effective for knowledge management and for scenario planning and for doing sort of standard knowledge management work inside an immersive environment. Thank you very much. I'll hand back to Angela.